Hello, my name is Darla, your narrator, and this is the group project survey presentation for Group 5 submitted by our team whose name is Matrix. The purpose of this study was to gauge the attitudes of adult college students towards the punishment and sentencing of juvenile offenders. We wanted to better understand if the socioeconomic background, more specifically income levels that these college students were raised in, affected their attitudes, and if so, to which extreme. We looked at an exhaustive list of 3 income levels that we will discuss later. For the literature review portion, there are extensive studies on juvenile sentencing guidelines and people's beliefs. We narrowed it down to 14 that are included in our reference section, and I'm going to highlight 2 contrasting views for you here. A study published in the Journal of Personality and Social Psychology is the closest to what we are trying to understand. They had a more complex approach that also brought into play adults' belief systems of essentialists versus social constructivists and how that would affect attitudes towards juvenile sentencing. Ultimately, they found that the higher the social rank, the more aggressive the attitudes towards juvenile sentencing. A contrasting study found in the journal Crime and Delinquency states that public opinion, more than a person's background or status, affects attitudes towards juvenile sentencing. Our hypothesis was adults raised in affluent homes tend to favor adult punishment for juveniles who commit crimes more than adults who were raised in poverty. Our independent variable was combined gross household income of the sample participants' childhood home. We gave 3 options and an exhaustive range list shown here. We also included a 4th option of I don't know to aid in the validity and accuracy of our study. We did not want respondents to guess if they did not know the answer. The dependent variable was attitudes towards punishment of juvenile offenders. This data collection slide is showing you the raw data of all 37 respondents in the survey regarding childhood home income levels. This was an anonymous survey which we feel aids in the truthfulness and accuracy of the response rate. Please note that 20 respondents identify as median income contrasted to only 4 in low income and 8 in affluent. More to come on that in the discussion portion. We used a non-probability sampling technique using available subjects. For the data analysis portion, as you can see by the percentages on the slide highlighted in green, the results of the study support our hypothesis that adults raised in affluent homes at 87.5% tend to favor adult punishment for juveniles who commit crimes more than adults who were raised in low income at 50%. Please note the median income response rate of strongly agree plus agree at 11 people is 55%. For the discussion portion of the study, the previous slide clearly shows that 87.5% of adults who come from an affluent home agree that in some instances, juvenile offenders should be tried as adults. When contrasting the adults from affluent homes to the other two independent variables, there is a 37.5 point difference to low income and a 32.5 point difference to median income. Interesting how many of the strongly agree plus agree participants came from median income backgrounds. 11 responses at 55%, and that their attitudes correlated more with low income respondents. Based on this, we group these two separate independent variables together as low income and median income to better support our hypothesis. Ideas for future research. Over the course of the project, we identified 3 additional variables that could be studied to help support future learnings. They are identifying the highest education level obtained by the sample population. Identify what type of crime was committed. And lastly, try to get a better understanding of the socioeconomic standing of our survey population today versus childhood. Ultimately, these additional survey questions and enhancements will provide us a more cohesive set of data points on our sample population and will provide greater learnings. The data provided in this study does provide value and insights.
My name is Darla,
the revised
your
hypothesis.
narrator, and this is the
Adults
group project
raised
survey
in affluent
presentation
homes
for Group
tend
5,
to favor adult
submitted
punishment
by our team,
for
whose name
juveniles
is Matrix.
who commit crimes more than adults who were raised in low
The
income
purpose of this study
and or
was to gauge the
median
attitudes
income
of adult
homes.
college students towards
Note
the
that
punishment
based
and
on the
sentencing
results,
of juvenile
we have
offenders.
revised our hypothesis and added median income. We wanted to better understand.
If you would like
more
if the
information,
socioeconomic
our references are on the
background,
next few
more
slides.
specifically
Thank
income
you
levels
for taking time
that
to
these
review our
college
study,
students were
and
raised
have a
in,
great day.
affected their attitudes, and if so, to which extreme? Hello, my name is
We
Darla,
looked at an
your
exhaustive
narrator,
list of 3
and this is the
income
group
levels
project
that we will
survey
discuss later.
presentation for Group 5,
submitted by our team, whose name is Matrix. For the literature review portion, there are extensive studies on juvenile sentencing guidelines and people was to gauge the attitudes of adult we narrowed it down to 14 towards the punishment that are included in our reference juvenile section, offenders. And I'm going to highlight two contrasting views for you here. We wanted to better understand a study socioeconomic in the Journal of Personality, more specifically social psychology, income levels is the closest to what we are trying to understand, affected their attitudes. They had a more complex approach that also brought into play adults' belief systems. We looked at an exhaustive list of versus income social levels that we will discuss later, and how that would affect attitudes towards juvenile sentencing. For the literature review portion, ultimately, there are extensive studies. The higher the social rank, juvenile sentencing, the more aggressive the attitudes towards juvenile sentencing. We narrowed it down to 14, a contrasting study in our reference journal, and I'm going to highlight two contrasting views for you here. Public opinion, more than a person's background or status, a study published attitudes in the Journal of Personality and Social Psychology is the closest to what we are trying to understand. Our hypothesis, they had a more complex approach. Adults that also brought into play adults' belief systems tend to favor adult punishment, essentialists for juveniles who social constructivists more than adults, and how that would affect attitudes towards juvenile sentencing. Our independent variable ultimately was combined. They found that the higher the social rank, the more aggressive the attitudes towards childhood home. A contrasting study we found in the journal options, crime and delinquency range states that shown here. Public opinion, more than a person's background or status, fourth option affects attitudes towards juvenile to aid in the validity and accuracy of our study. We did not want our hypothesis to guess if they did not know the answer. Adults raised in affluent homes tend to favor adult punishment was for juveniles towards who commit punishment of more juvenile offenders who were raised in poverty. Our independent variable slide was combined gross household income of all 37 of the sample in the survey regarding childhood home income levels. We gave 3 options. This was an anonymous survey range list, which we feel aids in we also included an accuracy of the response rate to aid in the validity and accuracy of our study. Please note that 20 we did not want identified as the guess median if they did not know the answer. Contrasted to only 4 the dependent income was an 8 attitudes towards punishment of more juvenile offenders on that in the discussion portion. This data collection slide, we used a non-probability raw data sampling of all techniques using available subjects in the survey regarding childhood home income for the levels. Data analysis portion, as you can see by the percentages, this was an anonymous survey highlighted in green, which we feel aids the results of the study support our accuracy that of the response rate. Adults raised in affluent homes at 87.5%, 20 tend to favor identified punishment median income who commit crime, contrasted to more than adults 4 who were raised in low income, and 8 at 50% affluent. More to come on that in the discussion portion. The median income response rate of strongly agree. We used a non-probability sampling at 11 people using available 55%. For the data analysis portion, as you can see by the percentages discussion portion on the slide of the highlighted in green, The results
previous
of the
slide
study
clearly
support
shows
our
that
hypothesis that
87.5%
raised in
of
affluent
adults
homes
who come from
at
an affluent home
87.5%
agree
tend to
that in
favor
some
adult
instances,
punishment
juvenile
for juveniles
offenders
who
should be
commit
tried
crimes
as adults.
more than adults who were raised in low income, when
at
contrasting
50%.
the adults from
Please
affluent
note
homes to the
median
other two
income
independent
response
variables
rate
of
there is
strongly
a
agree
37.5
agree
point
difference
at 11
to low
people
income
is
and a 35.5 point difference to median income. Interesting
for the
how many
discussion
of the
portion
strongly
of the
agree
study
plus agree participants
the previous
came from
slide
median
clearly
income
shows
backgrounds.
that
11 responses at
87.5%
55%
of adults who
and
come
that their
from
attitudes
an affluent
correlated
home
more
agree
with low
that in
income
some
respondents.
instances,
Juvenile offenders should be tried as adults. Based on this, we group these two separate
when
independent
contrasting
variables
the
together
adults
as
from
low
affluent
income
homes
and to the other
median
two
income
independent
to better
variables
support our
there is a
hypothesis.
37.5 point difference to low income and a
Ideas
32
for future
0.5
research.
point difference to median
Over
income.
the course
of the project, we identified
Interesting
three additional
how many of
variables
the strongly
that could be
agree
studied
plus
to help
agree
support future
participants
learning came from
They are
median income background, identifying the
11
highest
responses
education
at
level
55%
obtained by the sample
and that
population,
their
attitudes correlated more with
Identify
low income
what
respondents. Type of crime was committed. Based
And
on
lastly,
this, tried to
group
get
these
a
two
better
separate
understanding
independent
of the
variables
socioeconomic
as
standing
low
of our
income
survey
and
population
income
today to
versus
better
childhood.
support our hypothesis. Ultimately, these additional survey questions and enhancements would provide us
Ideas
a
for
more
future research.
cohesive set of data points on our
Over
sample
the course
population
of the project,
and would provide
we
greater
identified
learning. 3 additional variables that could be studied to help support future learnings. The data provided in this study does provide
Identifying
value
the
and
highest
insights
education
that
level
support
the
obtained by the
revised
sample
hypothesis.
population. Adults raised in affluent
Identify
homes tend to
what
favor
type
adult
of
punishment
crime
was
for
committed. Juveniles who commit crimes
And lastly,
more than
try to
adults
get a
who
better
were raised
understanding
in low
of the
socioeconomic standing
and or
of our survey
median
population
homes.
today versus childhood.
Note that
Based on the results,
ultimately,
we have revised
these
our additional
hypothesis
survey questions and
added
enhancements
median
would
income.
provide us a more
If you would like
cohesive
more
set of
information,
data points on our
our
sample
references are
population
on the next few
and will
slides.
provide greater
Thank
learning.
you
For taking time to review our study, and have a great day. The data provided in this study does provide value and insights that support the revised hypothesis.